In today's video, we delve into the heartbreaking case of Nicole Lovell, a 13-year-old girl. This is a story of innocence lost and a community left in shock. Before we get into the details of today's case, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into real-life crime stories, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. I'm always curious to see where these stories are reaching, so I genuinely appreciate it if you shared where in the world you're watching from in the comments below. Now, let's begin today's case. It was January 2016, and social media was still taking off, giving people cool new ways to talk to each other. Nicole Madison Lovell, who is 13 years old, was one of those people. Nicole and her mom Tammy lived in Blacksburg, Virginia. She said that Nicole's relationship with her dad, David, had been tense because they were no longer together. He had been to jail and gotten into a lot of trouble with the law over the years. David himself said he felt bad about what happened and wished he could change things, but everyone was working to make things better. Nicole had been through a lot at such a young age. She had to take medicine twice a day after having a liver donation when she was only 10 months old. She was told she had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma 3 years after her liver donation, and it turned into acute respiratory distress syndrome. She went into and out of a coma for 6 months. Her lung collapsed, and she has a big scar on her throat from a tracheotomy. She told her mom, Tammy, "At that time, we were told she had only a 1% chance of living." Nicole did beat the odds again, though. Nicole had a really rough start to her life, but everyone said she always tried her best to be upbeat, happy, and open to new experiences.
I'm Nicole Lovell, and I've been nominated for the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge.
August, let's go.
The young teen had a hard time at school. Because of her scars, she was picked on, and she would often beg Tammy to write her a note so she could skip PE. Nicole often wrote about how sad and angry she was on social media, but she was determined to never give up and always pushed herself to get through things. She fought from the time she was born, and she just always did. Nicole loved pets, especially bears, Tammy said, and she loved to dance and sing. She never missed an episode of American Idol and told everyone she would be on it one day. Nicole and her best friend had a great time shopping at the Corner Mall on January 26, 2016, where they bought earrings that matched. Tony said Nicole kissed her goodbye, took a shower, and went up to her room that night. It was just another night. The next morning at 6:30 a.m., Nicole had to take her liver anti-rejection medicine, which she did twice a day. She always checked her room first thing in the morning before getting ready for work, but her daughter's door wouldn't open. When Tammy knocked, she didn't hear anything inside, so she broke in. Her nightstand was in the way of her door. Tammy said Nicole liked to get dressed up and dance around her bedroom. To make more space, Nicole would push her desk out of the way, but it would always go back in its place. This was really bothering me the next morning. Nicole's window was open, and her room was very cold, but she wasn't there. Both her phone and her favorite blanket, which had Minions on it, were gone. Also left behind was her medicine. Tammy said that without it, she would become very sick in just a few hours. Tammy tried calling her daughter's phone several times, but each time it went to voicemail. After that, she called some other parents and friends, but no one could help her. At 7 a.m., Tammy made the call that every parent dreads. She told the cops that something very wrong must be going on because this had never happened before. Nicole would always carry her phone and blanket with her, but to jump out of a window in the middle of a very cold night. It didn't make sense to anyone. Natalie didn't answer the door when Tammy knocked that night to see if Nicole wanted to come sleep in her bed with her, like she always did. This made Tammy very sad. Even though her condition was already very bad, the snow on the ground and the fact that she was somewhere in the freezing cold without her life-saving medicine made everything even more important.
Nicole has to take medication twice a day for a liver transplant. The fear is that going without this medication could potentially be deadly. Her mom, Tammy Weeks, clutched Nicole's favorite stuffed panda bear as she pleaded with her daughter to come home or that whoever is with her would bring her back safely.
A nightmare. Yeah, it's like you see it all on TV and everything. You think it's never going to happen to you, and then here we are in the position that everybody else is going through, and it's just don't know what to think. It's shocking. I mean, didn't think it'd ever happen to us. So
we love you, Nicole. We miss you. We want you home.
Police say they don't know at this point if this is a runaway situation or if there was foul play involved. Nicole's mother says she believes someone had to have helped her get out of the house last night. Anyone with information on Nicole's whereabouts is asked to call police right away.
The police quickly asked the FBI to help, and more than 1,000 people from her city joined together to form many search parties. Volunteers even brought an infrared drone along with dogs and planes. Everyone worked together to find Nicole Lovell. Someone, Nicole's neighbor, told Tammy and the cops about a talk she had with her own daughter. Nicole told her daughter that she was going on a date with her boyfriend. Her daughter said,
they were sleigh riding in the snow in the back on the hill, and she was talking about this boyfriend she had that was 18 and went to college, and his name was David. And showed some text messages off of Kik and pictures, and that's what the girls told the police officers when they asked.
Nicole told her friend that the internet is how she met her boyfriend. He was going to take her on a love date the night she went missing. She said he was funny and nice. Nicole had taped a piece of paper to the wall in her bedroom with some of her usernames and passwords on it. One of them was for Kik Messenger. In an emergency, the cops asked the app to share information. Kik Messenger replied right away, and all of her texts were quickly seen by the police. There is a lot of privacy on the social media site Kik. People don't have to give their phone number or email address when they sign up. A username and Wi-Fi are all you need to use it, but it does record your IP address and doesn't offer end-to-end security. End-to-end encryption is a way to make sure that your messages are totally safe. It means that no one can read or listen to your text as they go from your phone to the other person's phone. This would make it very easy for the police to listen in on all of Nicole's talks with the person who is probably responsible for her disappearance. Mr. David, her dad, said that his daughter wasn't allowed to use social media right before she went missing. They were lying about their ages, as some of the things they said were way too grown up for their accounts, he said. We told her before Christmas and took her phone away. She later got her phone back, and David and Tammy told her again how important it was to be careful and stay safe. Nicole had apparently put the Kik Chat app back on her phone after Tammy told her to delete it.
Tonight in the search for a missing and endangered Blacksburg teenager.
A Virginia Tech drone used infrared technology from the skies throughout the day, while officers from 6 police departments, as well as the FBI, continue to look on foot.
Thursday, officers from 7 different police agencies were joined by about 1,000 Virginia Tech Corps of Cadets members. Today, the cadets are no longer a part of the search, which is why the command center area does not need to be quite as large. That being said, though, police say this does not mean they are scaling down the search. In fact, they have just as many officers, if not more, involved in the investigation today. Now, tonight, Nicole's family is once again pleading with anyone who has information to come forward.
Somebody out there has got to know something. This coverage is way too much with nobody, everybody not know it. And Nicole knows we wait.
Nicole had been talking to a different Kik user named Dr. Tombstone for months, and at 5:30 a.m. on January 30th, police arrested a suspect who had a very low chance of being guilty.
We went the distance to tell you about one of the greatest distance runners this state has, and his name is David Eisenhower.
I make my personal goals achievable, or just out of reach of achievable. That way I'm always constantly striving to better myself. If that goal becomes a record, or if that goal is past a record, or records get broken in the process, I consider that like a milestone goal but that's not where I ultimately want to end up. I just have this internal thing saying I want to be the best. There is no reason why I cannot be as good as other people are. I will personally not stop until I reach my peak performance, which could be anywhere.
David won the Triple Crown, a miler, 2-miler, and cross-country champion. And what an accomplished student he is, not ducking hard courses like differential equations.
I'm thinking that this is a super hard math class, but now that I'm in it and I'm being successful in that class, I'm reviving the spirit in myself, saying that there's no reason why I can't do these things.
David Eisenhower, who was 18 years old and an engineering student at Virginia Tech, was Dr. Tombstone. Everyone at David's college said he was a great student and a star player. He even made the news for his sports skills. He worked hard, was charming, and liked being around other people. A friend told him that he was a famous student who always got straight A's. People didn't understand why his name was tied to something so bad. When David's friend saw the arrest, he was shocked. But he said that now that he thinks about it, he knew exactly what they were looking into. Around the time Nicole went missing, David had been acting in a very strange way. David, who wore big, heavy boots, left the flat that night and didn't come back until 2 a.m. Later, he also said that he knew David had a knife on his desk in his room, but the knife was nowhere to be found when the cops arrived. David told the police at the station that he had nothing to do with her disappearance, but he did say that he had been online talking to her.
Mid-December, if I remember correctly, I was bored in my dorm room and logged on to a website where you go and you just talk to random strangers. It's an anonymous the website is called Omegle, if I believe correctly. Okay. And then she's like, hey, do you want to use message me on some app called Kik? And I was like, sure, whatever.
The next thing he said was that they had met on Omegle first and then switched to Kik. Omegle is another site that lets you meet with random people from around the world right away without giving your name. It's important to note that Omegle was shut down in 2023. David said he met her outside of her apartment that night, but he left when he saw how young she was and went back to his college room. Based on what they talked about, he thought she was 16 or 17, but she looked like she was 11.
We're talking, and she's like, yeah, I'm 16 or 17. I do not remember the age she said. I get there, and then I see someone who probably looked like she was 11 years old climb out of a window, and I was like, not for me.
Besides the Kik chats they had to have, they also talked to a man named Dustin through an online gaming site. David had known Dustin for years and was friends with him. David would talk to him a lot and sometimes ask for help with girls. Dustin said that he talked to David about a girl David was dating who wasn't old enough to be dating. David said the girl would tell everyone if he didn't go out with her. The truth about whether he was talking about Nicole or not is still unknown, but this did show one thing. If it was Nicole, he knew she was much younger than 16 or 17. Dustin did tell David that he needed to stop whatever it was, but Nicole and David had been talking for months before she disappeared. From their conversations, it seemed like they had met at least once before. The police said they had most likely been intimate, but they haven't said more about this. David made a mistake during the interview and said something that made people look twice.
This young lady's never been to her Philadelphia. Okay? So it's not going to be possible for us to believe that a killer is. I told you, I do not know where she is. I think the police should look more into finding a body than trying to interrogate the last person who saw her alive, who clearly left the scene. Why are you staring about that? Because you can tell when people are lying based on their ears and their pupils, which is how I know that you are stuck. And I'm not stuck. I've got lots of options.
The police thought they were looking for a body, but they hadn't said that yet. Nicole was still officially missing. David knew that his interview wasn't going well, so he tried to tell some lies. He said that he and a friend had bought a shovel, which he knew looked bad, but it was just for the snow. They found his bloody shovel in the back of his car. There was also blood in the back seats and the trunk. David said that he wasn't the only one who bought the shovels and gave them the name Natalie Keepers.
Would it help to mention I had someone else with me when I bought the shovel for snow purposes? I was like, hey, can I come by your dorm room, please? Her name is Natalie Keepers.
He said he went to meet Natalie when he left Nicole that night, which showed he wasn't with her for long. David was caught and charged with kidnapping, which is a crime.
Oh.
Hey guys, now stand up and put your hands behind your back. You are under arrest for the abduction of Nicole Madison.
After a few hours, police met Natalie, who was 19 years old and also an engineering student at Virginia Tech. Natalie also did well in school and wanted to become an engineer like her dad, who worked for NASA. In school, she always got good grades and liked being in plays. She was caught in her boyfriend's room and taken to be questioned. They found something troubling in her room: Nicole's Minions blanket in a suitcase, along with a lot of new cleaning supplies.
Yeah, we're just trying to piece together, different things. And that's why, like I said, the Walmart, that was an event that we were interested in.
Okay. Why, may I ask why you're interested in it?
In the missing girl.
Yeah.
Natalie, on the other hand, talked a lot, unlike David. She said David had killed her with a knife and then called Natalie to ask her to help move Nicole's body.
We know that you have information about this. What do you think was falling out of your phone?
She and Johnny.
Natalie, how much are you involved in this?
She forced me to help him move her body. She stabbed her. She killed her in the woods. The next day, he told me that he needed help. We went to Walmart. We got baby wipes and bleach, and she was in the trunk, and then he drove.
David had told her he was afraid Nicole might be pregnant, she said. He said they met at a party, and she told him she was 16. He said they may have had sex, but he couldn't remember because he passed out and woke up in a ditch. Natalie said that he was afraid Nicole would tell everyone about him, which matched what Dustin had said. Simply put, David had to get rid of this trouble. Everyone was afraid that the investigation would go in a dark direction after this statement.
Missing 13-year-old Nicole Lovell's remains were found by police today. Since then, officers from 7 agencies, including the FBI, focused on a 1-mile radius around Nicole's home. And then in a news conference held tonight, authorities delivered the news that no one wanted to hear. They say that her body was found in Surrey County, North Carolina, near the state's border.
I'm Anthony Wilson. I'm the chief of Blacksburg Police Department. Unfortunately, we're coming together tonight. The news I have to share this evening is extremely difficult for me to tell. It's with a heavy heart that I have to announce that we've located the remains of 13-year-old Nicole Madison Lovell. This has been an extremely fast-paced investigation within just the past 12 hours. It was late Saturday night when the investigation led us to 18-year-old David E. Eisenhower. He continues to be held without bond in the Montgomery County Jail. This investigation is far from over as we continue to conduct multiple interviews and processing additional evidence related to this crime. We're going to take a few questions, but before we do, I just want to remind everyone that this is the most devastating thing that you can do to a family. We have some very wounded folks in our community, and we ask that you please show them some respect. We will continue to be very transparent with you during this investigation, but just remember, these are the kind of crimes that rip communities apart.
My daughter, Nicole Lovell, Coley is what we called her. Coley had a passion for pandas, music, dancing, dreamed of being on American Idol someday. Her favorite color was blue. Nicole was a very lovable person. Nicole touched many people throughout her short life. Yeah, I can't do that part.
Nicole Lovell's body was found about 80 miles south of where she lived. She was naked and had 14 stab wounds, one of which was in the neck and would have killed her on its own. Natalie told a half-story about David being afraid that Nicole might be pregnant, but the medical examiner confirmed that she was not. But David was still rejecting everything. He said he had left her outside of her building alive and well, but his story was about to fall apart even more. Detectives got a much better idea of what had happened to the 13-year-old thanks to Natalie, Nicole's friend's tip, the Kik chat logs, and what Natalie was about to say during 26 hours of questions. Beginning in the new year, David and Natalie had been making plans for what would happen to Nicole. Phone records show that David left the Virginia Tech campus just before 3 p.m. on January 26th and drove about 15 minutes to get to Christiansburg. His phone told him that he was close to a Target store and a Walmart between 10:03 a.m. and 4:36 p.m. Those two went and bought a shovel between 10:02 and 10:21 p.m. That same night, David and Natalie were both sitting in a cookout restaurant. Natalie said that they had thought about what would happen to Nicole. In the beginning, they talked about killing or drugging Nicole to make it look like she had killed herself, then leaving her outside in the cold to die. After that, they changed their minds and agreed on what Natalie called the official plan: grab her from behind, cover her mouth, and slit her throat. After leaving the cookout, they went to a country area to look for a place to hide Nicole's body. On November 22nd at 11:42 p.m., David's phone quickly buzzed near his campus again. It looked like he and Natalie had split up. The time was almost midnight, and David's phone was ringing near Nicole's flat. Nicole sent Dr. Tombstone, David, a message on Kik Messenger at 12:39 a.m. on January 27th. David was waiting for her outside in his car, so she climbed out of her window with her phone and the minion's blanket. David's phone showed that he went to Craig Creek Road at 1 a.m. and stayed there for 45 minutes. At 1:46 a.m., he left. Nicole was killed by being stabbed at this time. At about 2 a.m., he was back at high school. David told Natalie that Nicole had died in a message. Natalie and David took his Lexus to the place where he had left Nicole's body. Natalie said she couldn't remember when they left, but they went back to Craig Creek Road and into the trees nearby. Nicole's body was taken out and put in the back of his car. Natalie said that they had changed their minds about burying her on his grandparents' land after first wanting to do so. They left her body in the car while they went to get things to clean up. It was then that they crossed into North Carolina and stopped on a countryside road to get to a quiet place. Nicole's clothes were taken off, bleach was put over her, and her body was dumped.
And then he pulled forward, and then he was like, we could dump her right there, and pointed to the spot that we ended up dumping her at. I think he said something like, what if she got blood everywhere? And then he just started like mumbling, like, all right, how am I going to pull her out? And like, then he pulled her out.
By himself.
Yeah.
You don't help him.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I walked behind the car to see what he was doing, and he basically tugged on her leg and kind of pulled her out, so she just kind of fell out.
After getting some drinks and throwing Nicole's bloody clothes in the trash, they drove back to college. On the way, they stopped at McDonald's. David threw the knife into the trees after they got back in the car. Then they went their separate ways for a while before getting back together to wash their own clothes at the laundry. David got a text message from Natalie that said, "Get some sleep. You deserve it." After that, they went on another drive and got rid of the rest of Nicole's stuff. They texted each other several times the next day, complaining that their bodies smelled like cleaning products, but that they were glad they did what they did to hide everything. They also talked about numbers that show how many children who go missing are never found. Neil and David agreed that they would be fine as long as no one found the body for a week. She said, "Yep, yep." Natasha texted David in all capital letters, "Police," when the police came to her boyfriend's house to ask her. She had no idea that he was already locked up. David Eisenhower was charged with having killed someone and then taken them away. Nicole Keepers was also charged with 2 misdemeanors: improper disposal of a dead body, a felony, and being an accessory after the fact to a crime, a felony.
Today, 2 Maryland teens are behind bars in connection with her death and disappearance.
18-year-old David Eisenhower was once a star athlete here at this high school in Columbia, but tonight he's under arrest and charged with murder, and police say he did not act alone. Virginia authorities say Eisenhower had the help of 19-year-old and fellow Virginia Tech student Natalie Keepers. Police arresting Keepers of Laurel, Maryland, for helping to dump Lovell's body just over the Virginia border.
Natalie and David didn't seem to be romantically involved or very close. They were just friends. Natalie's parents said they knew the two women knew each other, but they hadn't heard David's name before. They and the cops couldn't figure out why Natalie would be involved in this. She also had nothing to do with Nicole, but she had been planning her death for weeks.
Victim in this case, 13-year-old Nicole Lovell, was laid to rest today. A large turnout as family and friends gathered to remember Nicole and say their final goodbyes.
And every day, we also vow to spread just a fraction of the shining light that she was to this world these brief 13 years.
Prayers were sent by members of Help Save the Next Girl, a nonprofit group that helps raise awareness about safety. They made this tribute to Nicole. It has the color blue, a panda, and music, some of her favorite things. Some tech students signed the custom-made painting to show their support for Coley. At the bottom, lyrics to a song dedicated to their little mountain angel and her family.
I can't imagine the pain that her family and her friends are going through right now. And it's important to show that Virginia Tech students care. It's important to show that the community cares.
And through these signs of love and support, this sea of broken hearts hopes to come together and heal as one.
Natalie told the judge she had never been in trouble with the law, had mental health problems, and had always worked really hard in school and college, finishing in the top 15% of her high school class. This was all part of David and Natalie's bail application. Both of their bails were turned down. David's trial started in the beginning of 2018. His lawyers tried to blame Natalie for everything. 2 teachers and an old friend were called to the stand. Both of his teachers at Riverside Christian School said he was smart and nice, but had trouble getting along with other people. As David learned the Bible, one teacher said that he was smart but needed clear rules to do well. She said he'd jump off a cliff with someone if they told him it was the right thing to do.
The defense focused much of its witness questioning trying to establish that Eisenhower is easily influenced by others. Mental health professionals testified that Natalie Keepers, who awaits a trial for being an accessory in this case, orchestrated the crimes, and Eisenhower would not have wanted to kill Lovell without her influence.
I think she was the mastermind. I think she is the driver of the process. I think she has found somebody that she can manipulate.
A bloody Natalie's palm was found on the shovel, which was another proof that David had nothing to do with what had happened. Things changed, though. On the 4th day of these, David Eisenhower changed his mind and said he would not fight the charges. When someone pleads no contest, they agree that there is enough evidence to convict them, but they don't say they did it. But in a lot of ways, this plea was the same as pleading guilty.
But that plea didn't stop the Commonwealth from reading them aloud to the judge and in front of Eisenhower's parents.
They came about because I couldn't keep it in my pants. I think I'm done for a little bit. From the defendant, too late. I need a place to hide a body in case it goes really bad.
Those conversations were taken from Eisenhower's phone and social media kick account he used to talk to Natalie Keepers, Nicole Lovell, and another 16-year-old girl that he had a romantic relationship with, all of which he shared details about the murder.
From the defendant, I guess we figured out how people commit mass murder now. From the defendant, so as long as nobody finds the body for a week, it will never be traced.
But most heartbreaking, bringing mom Tammy Weeks to tears, a message was read aloud from Eisenhower's admirer, 13-year-old Nicole Lovell.
Dear David, you are my crush, but I know you don't think of me like that, but I don't care. I will always be here if you're looking for a good time. I'm here when you had a bad day. I'm here, and I don't want that to change. I want to be in your life for as long as you can stand me, and I know I'm annoying, and I ask for too much, but I'm a girl, and I have a heart and feelings. And my feelings get hurt a lot, but it's never been hurt by you, and I like that.
Perhaps one of the last she ever sent.
He was given a sentence of 75 years, but only 50 will be spent in jail. The other 25 years will be spent on probation. Nicole's family tried to explain in court how this had affected them, but as you might expect, words aren't enough to describe it.
Outside the courthouse, she told 10 News that today did not give her closure.
I'm just numb right now. It's not real.
Nicole's father, David, says he now has PTSD and struggles with depression.
Just a horrible crime, Your Honor. It's a shame. And there's nothing that can happen in this courtroom that will ever fix it.
Her grandfather says he still visits her grave every day.
Upside down, kidney. Take it off. Well. We don't eat, play, and we don't sleep.
Natalie Keepers admitted that she helped hide Nicole's body, but she would not admit to being an accessory to murder before the fact. It was now time for her to go to court. The professional psychologist Natalie's lawyers called said she had 6 disorders: borderline personality disorder, depersonalization disorder, derealization disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, panic disorder, and maybe even schizophrenia. He said this meant that her first interview with the police was not credible. He also said it would have been simple to get her to do something, and David would have had no trouble getting her. Her defense team said that she was easily influenced and coerced because she had mental health problems and anxiety. They also said that she wanted to please other people and earn their love. They said it was hard for her to know and understand what was real. She was excited to do something with someone, and she said it made her feel loved and special. But she also said she thought David was joking and wouldn't really do it. Police said Natalie knew Nicole was going to die because she and David had planned it, and Natalie seemed to really enjoy it. It was easy to see that.
2 of the Natalie Keepers trial reveals new evidence never before seen in the Nicole Lovell murder case.
Nearly 2 hours of Keepers' interrogation tapes were shown to the jury.
Well, it was certainly a heartbreaking moment for Nicole Lovell's family today when the medical examiner who did the autopsy on Nicole Lovell testified that the 13-year-old was still alive when her neck was broken due to blunt force trauma. We know that she ultimately died after a stab wound to her neck. The big reveal today, however, was seeing the police interrogation videos of Natalie Keepers. In those videos, we heard conflicting stories of what happened, but she did tell police she knew Eisenhower was planning Nicole Lovell's murder and said that he even talked to her about how he planned to do it. She said on those tapes about 16 hours worth, multiple times, however, that in her heart, she didn't believe that Eisenhower could do it, but logically, she knew he wanted to. Keepers was extremely emotional during those tapes, often sobbing to investigators. While the tapes played in court, she was very reactionary, often nodding or shaking her head, even hanging her head down at times, crying. Here's a clip from that audio we heard today.
If I was there, I would have stopped it. I would have stopped it. I wouldn't have let him do anything. Even if I had to see him do that to her, the first thing I would have done is start the car and drove and left because I didn't think David could do such a thing.
Now, a shocker today came when the defense entered video into evidence that they previously hoped to keep out of court, where Natalie Keepers said David Eisenhower, quote, forced her to help him hide Lovell's body. There are a lot of conflicting things on those tapes, including Keepers saying that she thought that this was all just a fantasy that she and Eisenhower were acting out, and that they were members of a, quote, secret club. Now she knows that he was only manipulating her.
The jury came back with the decision after only 1 hour. Natalie Keepers was given a 45-year prison term, but 25 years were taken away, so she will only have to serve 40. After 40 years, she will be on probation for 10 years. She won't be able to get out of jail before her 40th or 50th year. In court, they both talked to Nicole's family, but what they said didn't mean a thing.
I am sorry for the pain that my actions have caused Nicole Lovell and her family. It is my deepest regret, and I'm aware my actions have serious consequences. Nothing can ever undo what has been done, and for that, I am deeply, sincerely, and forever sorry.
guys ever intended for this to happen.
Many people were upset with David's term, especially since they didn't understand why it was only 10 years longer than Natalie's. The reason for this horrible murder is still unknown. David has never admitted to killing her, let alone said why he did it. People said bad things about Kik Messenger and other apps that work the same way. According to Tammy, she tried to keep an eye on what her daughter did on the internet, but had the same problems that many parents do. David, her dad, said that she was 13 years old and could go to Facebook and make accounts we didn't know about. That's something a child shouldn't be able to do. They are talking to someone we don't know.
A big question for parents this morning, are apps like these safe for your children? ABC's TJ Holmes is here with some very important information.
You remember there was a time when parents had to warn their kids about looking out for strangers at the playground or outside the school. Now they got to warn them about strangers right there on their cell phone. Kik, this wildly popular app, anyone can download it for free, and within a matter of minutes, they can be sending a private message directly to your child.
You can sign up as anybody you want to be. It really becomes a private hunting preserve for some of these pedophiles.
ABC reached out to the people who run Kik, who told us Kik cooperated with the FBI for their investigation. Kik cooperates with law enforcement to combat child predators anywhere in the world, either under provision of a court order or in emergency situations such as this one. All right, there are plenty of apps out there like this, but this one is one of the largest, most popular. 250 million users, 70% are under the age of 25. There are no parental controls.
In the wake of such a terrible event, it's easy to think that blocking these kinds of apps would make the internet a better place. In some ways, that is true. Well, there's no question that apps like Kik Messenger, which let you hide your identity, are really dangerous. But in the digital world of today, many new apps will appear for everyone that goes away or is shut down. A lot of us use some kind of social media every day, all the time. We're able to connect with others and learn about their lives. We also make new friends and stay in touch with old ones. It's hard for digital laws to keep up with how quickly technology and social media change. People with bad motives and people who can access the internet without being tracked can use the privacy and security flaws to lie to and take advantage of people who are weak. We've already talked about a few examples of this being fatal, but the answer isn't as easy as blocking one app. In a world where anyone can connect with you with just a click, it's important to be aware of this and understand that not everyone is who they say they are. There is a lot of progress in technology and social media right now, but everything is still very small. Every day, new platforms, ideas, and ways to meet come out, making things that seem cutting edge today seem old-fashioned a year from now. A lot of the time, we remember the first time we used social media. When I first joined, Facebook was pretty new. MySpace was pretty big, but you mostly just talked to your closest friends on it. Talking to people we didn't know for the first time happened on platforms like MSN and Habbo Hotel. But this kind of thing was still pretty new. Most of the time, we just waited for the family computer to free up so we could spend a couple of hours a week exploring these places with our friends. This was because most of us, including ourselves, didn't have smartphones that let us use these platforms. However, nothing was as quick as it is now. It's a very different world that can be hard to get around in, especially if you're young or weak. Nicole Lovell was a very brave and strong girl. In her short life, she went through more than we can ever understand. She fought her way into this world. People worked hard to make her believe she had found someone she could love, talk to, and share things with. I can only guess what her last hour was like as she understood what was going on. David, Nicole's dad, has been diagnosed with serious depression and PTSD since the death of his daughter. Tammy is seeing a grief counselor and is having trouble sleeping. They should have done what they did to her instead, and she would gladly switch places with them if she could. Josh, Nicole's youth pastor, said, "Our hearts still hurt from sadness, and we still cry in secret over what it meant to lose you. No one will ever know. This is written on her grave." Every morning, Tammy goes to her daughter's grave and sits with her for an hour. She said, "Everything makes me think of Nicole." I felt lucky to be Nicole's mom and her friend for 13 years. We fought every battle together. She was a great and pretty girl. Thank you for watching. If this case moved you, please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe for more true crime stories, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Take care of yourselves and those around you, and I'll see you in the next one.